Hi, this is Lauren with Stories and Surprises. I'm going to do a book haul today. I've recently come across a company called Daedalus Books. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. There's no pronunciation key, so I'm just anglicizing it. It's Daedalus, I believe. And they sell what seems to be overstock books at a really good price, but the books are very, very good. They have some great gems in there, and there's not a lot of reviews on the site, so my trick is I'll just look at a book and then I'll look at the Amazon reviews, just flip over to Amazon. I do that for other things too. But to kind of get an idea of if it's highly rated, I'll go ahead and do that. But I'll read you some descriptions. I've not read these yet. It's a haul. So the first one is The Coldest Case by Martin Walker, a Bruno chief of police novel. Here's the description. After attending an exhibit on the facial reconstruction of ancient skulls, Bruno wonders if the technology might help him resolve a 30-year-old murder case in which a body was found in the woods near Saint Denis. Then the death in action of a French Special Forces soldier puts his DNA into the national database, and a tangled family tale unfolds. The murdered man from the cold case turns out to have been the dead soldier's father. The mother is dead and never revealed to her husband or children that she had been made pregnant by a stranger she met on a camping holiday in Saint Denis. Bruno soon starts to unravel the secrets of that camping weekend, of a young woman's last fling before her marriage and the murder of her lover. Through patient police work and examining old photographs, Bruno finds images of the murdered man and his mysterious friend. They open a trail that takes Bruno from the Bergerac Vineyards. I hope I pronounced that right. Sometimes I nail the pronunciations, but sometimes not. Bergerac Vineyards to the old Communist Party strongholds in the poorest quarters of Paris, and their links to the comrades of the Soviet bloc. But as Bruno tries to establish whether those connections were simply fraternal or something more sinister, he finds the French establishment closing ranks against any use of the Rosenholz dossier, the master file of hundreds of, it continues on the other flap, hundreds of thousands of Stasi agents in East Germany and abroad, obtained by the CIA but never shared with the French. Meanwhile, a heat wave is building. The Dordogne is suffering from an intense summer drought that is sparking forest fires across the region. But as always, Bruno will keep a cool head through it all, and bien sûr, take time to enjoy a sumptuous pierogirdin meal. So I don't think I pronounced everything correctly, but I really like stories that take place in another country. It broadens horizons, kind of like you're traveling there yourself. I recommend traveling, but sometimes I don't get to go, so it's nice to read a book that takes place in someplace other than New York or California. Boring. And I like this. It seems multi-genre. I tend to not like a bunch of spy and detective stuff, but this seems like kind of forensic-y too. And also, I like the idea of a cold case, and it seems like it cuts across multiple genres and topics here. So I can't wait to read this one. All right, next. The Listening House by Mabel Seeley. And this is a paperback. Down and out in the Great Depression, Gwyn Docrace moves into a seedy and sinister boarding house where she exposes deadly secrets in this classic mystery by Mabel Seeley. After losing her copywriting job, young Gwyn Docrace seeks a place to live when she stumbles upon Mrs. Gar's old boarding house. Despite the gruff landlady and an assortment of shifty tenants, Gwyn rents a room for herself. She spends her first few nights at 593 Trent Street, tensely awake, the house creaking and groaning, as if listening to everything that happens behind its closed doors. A chain of chilling events leads to the gruesome discovery of a mutilated body in the basement kitchen, dead of unknown circumstances. Was it an accident or a murder? Under the red-black brick facade of the old house on Trent Street, Gwyn uncovers a myriad of secrets, blackmail, corruption, and clues of a wicked past. As she closes in on the truth, the cold, pale hands of death reach for Gwen in the night. So this sounds like a good mystery. I do like mysteries about ordinary people as opposed to policemen or spies. So this one sounded really good to me. And I'll review these, by the way, when I'm done reading them. Next, The Collector. Beautiful cover here. By Anne Met Hancock. A Caldon and Schaefer mystery. When 10-year-old Lucas disappears from his Copenhagen school, police investigators discovered that the boy had a peculiar obsession with pareidolia, a phenomenon that makes him see faces in random things. A photo on his phone posted just hours before his disappearance shows an old barn door that resembles a face. Journalist Heloise Caldon thinks she recognizes the barn, but from where? When Luke's blood-flecked jacket is found in the moat at Copenhagen Citadel, DNA evidence points to Thomas Strand, an ex-soldier suffering from severe PTSD. But then Strand turns up dead in his apartment, shot in the head execution style. What did the last person to see Lucas really witness that morning in the schoolyard? Was it really Lucas or an optical illusion? Can you ever truly trust your eyes? I tend to shy away from fantasy, but this one has a very light supernatural element, and I do like that. So I wanted to give this one a try. All right, next. The Deadly Hours, an anthology. By Susan Kearsley, C.S. Harris, Anna Lee Huber, and Christine Trent. So it looks like multiple stories in here. A stellar lineup of historical mystery novelists weaves the tale of a priceless and cursed gold watch as it passes through time, wreaking havoc from one owner to another. So they're connected. From 1733 Italy to Edinburgh in 1831, to a series of chilling murders in 1870 London, and a legal game of revenge decades later, the watch touches lives with misfortune. The characters are irrevocably linked by fate, each playing a key role in breaking the curse, until the watch finally comes to one young woman who might be able to stop it for good. That's quite an endeavor, writing in so many different time periods, but I guess it makes sense that they divided it up by authors. But I've never really seen that before, an anthology where it's connected like that, and it sounds really, really interesting. So I'll be reviewing this, of course. We'll see how it goes. And now I have a completely different genre, which is history and nonfiction. The first one is Inga's War, and I have already read this and loved it, so I'm going to review this separately. But as part of the haul, I'll also include it. Here's the description. Growing up, Svenga O'Donnell knew little of her family's German past. All she knew was that her great-grandparents, grandmother, and mother had fled their home city of Königsberg near the end of World War II, never to return. But everything changed when O'Donnell traveled to the city, now known as Kaliningrad and a part of Russia, and called her grandmother. Normally stoic and inscrutable, Inga uncharacteristically burst into tears. "I have so much to tell you," she said. In this transporting book, award-winning journalist Svenga O'Donnell weaves research, reporting, and more than a decade of conversations into a dramatic narrative that uniquely captures the lives of ordinary Germans, particularly women, from the rise of Hitler through the war's brutal aftermath. As O'Donnell gradually pulls back the curtain on her grandmother's past, she discovers a life of love, loss, and impossible choices. She learns how Inga fell in love with a fellow rebellious teenager in Berlin's underground jazz clubs and bore his child out of wedlock after he was sent against his will to the Eastern Front. She learns how Inga spearheaded the family's flight across the sea as the Red Army closed in, her not yet 2-year-old daughter, O'Donnell's mother, in tow. Finally, she uncovers the act of violence that ultimately parted Inga from the man she loved, a terrible secret she had kept hidden for more than 6 decades. And it continues. A captivating World War II saga, Inga's War is also a powerful reckoning with the meaning of German identity and inherited trauma. In retracing her grandmother's footsteps, O'Donnell not only discovers the remarkable story of a woman caught in the gears of history, but also comes face to face with her family's legacy of neutrality and inaction. A story of passion, hardship, displacement, and survival, Inga's War offers a rare glimpse into a reality too long buried My Silence and Shame, Inga's War. And I will review this, like I said, but it lived up to its promise and even more so. All right, next, also history nonfiction. Benjamin Franklin, The Religious Life of a Founding Father. I like books that take historical figures and look at them from different angles. There's another book I hope to read about George Washington and how he spearheaded private enterprise, which is something you don't really hear about. But this one's about Benjamin Franklin and his faith. And it says it's mostly quotes on the back, but there's a little description. Based on rigorous research into Franklin's voluminous correspondence, essays, and almanacs, this fresh assessment of a well-known figure unpacks the contradictions and conundrums that faith presented in Franklin's life. Yeah. Another historical nonfiction. This one I can't wait to read. It's very chunky. A lot of detail in here, which is great. The Lost. A Search for 6 of 6 Million. I just love that cover. It's the same person at 2 different ages. It's by Daniel Mendelsohn. In a work now considered a classic of Holocaust literature, a writer's search for the truth behind his family's tragic past in World War II becomes a remarkably original epic, part memoir, part reportage, part mystery, and part scholarly detective work that brilliantly explores the nature of time and memory, family, and history. I can't wait to read this one. I love books like this because they teach you about history, but they also inspire genealogy research, which I'm also into. So I expect to learn a lot from this, but also it teaches you about researching family, and it's just nice to learn about history from the lives of real people rather than just the big broad brush strokes. Churchill said this, Eisenhower did this, Patton did this. We kind of know about those people, but learning about people that were affected that aren't necessarily famous, who were affected in so many different ways. So many people were affected and made a difference. But I love books like this for that reason. All right, one more. This is a totally different era. Magna Carta, The Making and Legacy of the Great Charter by Dan Jones. Stonking narrative history told with pace, wit, and scholarship. I've never heard the word stonking. I'm assuming that's a Britishism. I would love to know what that means because I thought that I knew what all British words mean because I have a lot of British friends and I work for an Anglo-American company. So please explain to me in the comments what stonking means. I would love to know. And I would love to start using it myself because it sounds really, really good. All right. But about the Magna Carta book. On a summer's day in 1215, a beleaguered English monarch met a group of disgruntled barons in a meadow by the River Thames named Runnymede. Beset by foreign crises and domestic rebellion, King John was fast running out of options. On 15 June 1215, he reluctantly agreed to set his seal to a landmark document of constitutional politics. It would come to be known as the Great Charter, and it was the first time that a group of subjects had forced an English king to agree to a document that limited his powers by law and protected their rights. Dan Jones' elegant and authoritative narrative of the making and legacy of Magna Carta is amplified by profiles of the barons who secured it and a full text of the charter in both Latin and English. Can't wait to read that one. That's all I have today. I plan to continue ordering from that bookstore, Daedalus Books, or however you pronounce it. I've really been happy with them so far. The books are probably about the $6 range for brand new books, and many of them are very highly rated. And I'll be doing some more unboxings from different book clubs and stores as well. But that's all for today. Thank you.